Okay, so welcome once more, and I am Deepti Abdullah. Today we are looking at the admission season of fall 25 and what is all required for us to do for that. This is a part of weekly webinars that we are conducting at Conduira. As a part of this series of weekly seminars, what we do is to look at what are all the latest developments that are happening across the world in obviously related to study abroad. Look at if there are any changes in policies that are going to affect us, maybe for the student visas or later for even the immigration. So the policies changes. Are there any changes that are happening in the admissions? Are there any latest trends that are being seen? So these are the focus that we usually have in these weekly seminars. Today, my focus is going to be on the admission cycle of fall 2025 and what are all the things that we need to do. So when we use the word fall 25 cycle, that means you are going to start your classes in June, or rather July, August, September 2025. So for all those who are currently in their final years of graduation, or those who have already completed their graduation and are planning to move forward for their higher education abroad, this is the webinar for you. So now when we are talking about today's session, my focus is going to be on more on the United States and the universities there. Uh, for other countries, in the past few weeks, we have done focused seminars on the UK, Australia, and Ireland. So please go ahead and look at the past webinars. Today, we are mostly focusing on the United States and the admission cycle of fall 2025. Let me share my screen and then go forward. So as I said, the agenda today is going to be focused on specifically the selection of the right country, university, and program. Then we would look at the components of the application and check out what are the things that you should take care of while you're submitting your application. Let us first immediately get into the right fit. Now, when we talk about the right fit, mostly what happens is that most of the students pick up those colleges or programs that are maybe aggressively advertised, or maybe where your relatives, etc., are there, or maybe your seniors have recommended, or just that they are the top programs that are showing up in various rankings. But do note that these are all general markers, points that you should be remembering when you are selecting the universities and the programs that you should apply for. The first element is, do note, especially with the changes expected in the immigration policies, changes expected because of Trump's presidency that would be rather coming in. Do note that the restrictions on the visa are going to be increasing. The scrutiny also is going to be increasing. If that is the case, then ensure that you are selecting those universities where the rejection rates of visa are low. That's the first point that you should be keeping in mind. Now, when we talk about the visa rejection rates, the rejection rates usually are higher in case that university is maybe very low for you. You might be having a good above average GPA, and the university that you have selected is slightly of a lower rank, or the program is lower ranked, then the chances of visa rejection would be higher. What is the other point that you should be looking at? Let us look at once. I'm shifting back to the screen so that I will cover the points. The next point that I'm going to talk about are the programs which are basically job oriented versus research oriented. Now, most of us select the programs or the universities just because they are top ranked. But are they top ranked for jobs? Now, in the US, do note that the way to get the job is the easier way is for you to first get an internship. So, when you are selecting the university, when you are selecting the location of the university, when you are selecting the program, do check whether the internship opportunities are available for you in and around that university. Second, when you are selecting the program, most of the universities offer you multiple options. There are thesis and non-thesis options. There are options like MPS versus Masters of Science. MPS usually is more experience and application oriented and job oriented program, whereas MS program is more a research oriented program. Within thesis and non-thesis, thesis is more a research oriented program. So unless you are very keen on research, do choose a job oriented program because that is what your final ultimate goal is to after completing your master's, you are looking for a job, you will be working for a few years and then maybe planning to return. When you are looking at the university, also look at which universities are known for research and which are known for their jobs and internships. For example, University of Buffalo is a very top ranked university, but is known for its research orientation. Therefore, the internship opportunities might be lesser. So select the ones which are more job oriented. The second point, as I've already mentioned, is the right level for you. Don't choose a very high level program because the chances of admit top ranked program if your level of GPA is not very high. Don't choose a very low level program if your GPA is above average. Also note that if your GPA is good and you are aiming at a very top level university, do note that you might be facing competition from others who are equally or much better than you. So keep that in mind. Are you a person who can compete, who can work under tension? Are you a person otherwise who is more relaxed? Select a program where you are among the top 15 to 20% in the class. Otherwise, your chances of getting the internship might be less. What is the next point that you should focus on? Yes, your backlogs. Yes. Now, backlogs are negative. However, having said that, do note that both having backlogs and a low GPA doesn't immediately weaken your profile. Most of the universities, when they look at your GPA, they actually look at the last 2 years, that is the junior and the senior years of your entire bachelor's, or roughly around the 60 credits that you are doing, the last 60 credits. Now, if your GPA is good and above average in those last 2 years courses or the last 60 credits, then you can actually apply for higher level programs also. Similarly, when they are looking at backlogs, ensure that the backlogs are not in definitely the areas which you are going to apply for or which are prerequisites for you to apply for. For example, if you are applying for a master's in data science, okay, and you're a computer science engineer, you have a backlog in let us say computer networking, but you do not have any backlogs and your GPAs are good in areas like, let us say, algorithms, data structures, or language of Python, or in fact, the mathematics, which has statistics, then you actually can apply to a top program. One more example, if you are coming from an electrical engineering background, you also have done courses as a part of your academics in courses like Python or data structures and algorithms. You also have done well in statistics. Then you are equally good to apply for a master's in data science, though you might have a backlog in, let us say, an electrical engineering program, the course. So when you are looking at the universities and the programs, don't take a stock list which is available from somewhere. Do the enough research. If you have doubts, message me. We are here to help you pick up that right choice. The whole idea is for you to be able to invest in the 2 years of your master's, or let us say 1.5 years of your master's, to ensure that your the next level, next path that is there gives you multiple options. Moving on, let me see if there are any other doubts. If you have any doubts, please go ahead and message me. Message me in the chat. I am able to view that chat. So if you have any, please go ahead. But otherwise, let me go continue. Now, the next element that usually people talk about is the cost of the program. Now, when you look at the program cost, don't look at only colleges which are of having a lower fee. At the same time, don't just pick up a college because it is top ranked, but at the same time, it is very costly and your debt component is very high. Do note that whatever you are doing at the end of the day, visa should be kept in your mind. Most often, I see students think about visa only after booking the visa slot. That's not right. Your thoughts about visa start from this day one when you are looking at the universities and the programs. So, how is this related to the cost of the program then? Now, let us say you are selecting a program which is very costly and your debt is going to be very high. You want to take an education loan, but the education loan is almost 80 to 90% of your total financing that you are showing. Then the visa officers will have a doubt whether you will return back to India because you are carrying such a huge debt and you'd like to stay there more and try to clear that loan. That's a red flag. So ensure that you're balancing the cost of the program with your financial ability. We usually say the loan component should be 60 to 70% roughly of your total financing. The other part should be your own funds. Now, when you are choosing the program, I see a lot of students selecting programs where the universities are quite known to be liberal in providing the scholarships. Now, do note that if the university is very liberal at providing the scholarship, then there must be something there. Maybe it is in a rural location, maybe it is not very ranked higher, maybe the program is not giving you good opportunities for internships. So be aware of that. Then how do you improve your chances of scholarship? That's where the application comes into picture. Strengthen your profile. That's where your good IELTS score improves, good spoken English skills improve, good statement of purpose, a strong letter of recommendation. I'll talk about them in the next few minutes, but a strong application is a key for getting the scholarship. Not just that, the timing when you are applying, you should be an early applicant. Now, if you are applying to a program early, the chances of your getting the scholarship would be higher. Now, this is where, again, I'm cautioning you. What is it that you should be looking at? Balance it out. Just because I said apply fast, don't hurry in filling your application and just dumping it, because then it's not a strong application. So you should ensure that you are applying early, but at the same time, you are submitting a strong application. One more element that you should remember is that a lot of students pick up their set of universities and programs where they are getting the fee waivers, the application fee waivers. I do agree that helps in saving a lot of money, but at the same time, do note that you are not the only person who is picking up such programs. Everyone else is also picking up such programs. That means that the competition is going to be higher for such programs. Now, usually, my advice is that among a selection of 6 to 7 universities that you are finally applying to, select at least 2 or 3. If you are not having any problem with the finance, select at least 2 or 3 where you would be paying the application fee and there are no fee waivers. Why do I say that? Then the competition there in those specific programs, the pool of applications would be lesser, and therefore your chances of getting an admit would be higher. Not just that. When you are choosing the programs, a lot of universities do also provide application fee waivers if you write to them. When I have my students, when we finalize the universities, I usually pick up those which do have application fee, but if we write to them, they provide the waivers. So do note that and keep it in mind. One more element. A few universities, like University of Rochester, etc., they provide application fee waiver if you attend their events that are conducted very often over the next few months. So when you choose the first list of universities that you are selecting, don't basis it on the application fee waiver. Once you select them, then go ahead and see if you can actually ask and request for an application fee waiver. For all that matter, you might get it. I also mentioned the final shortlist of universities that you're applying to should be not more than 5 to 6, at max 7. Why is it that I'm mentioning that? Do note that if you apply to too many colleges and universities, you come out as a person who is very desperate. And that's a red flag again for the visa officer. So if you are saying, see, I am keen at studying abroad, doing my master's, improving my skills, and ensuring that I'm clearing a path for my future career. But at the same time, I'm not desperate. That's the balance, that's the kind of persona that you should be able to create. And that persona you will be able to create by selecting a select list, a chosen list of 6 to 7 universities, applying to them, and then ensuring that you are getting an admit in at least 2 to 3 universities of that. So that you are telling them, see, I have a choice. And I made one of the 3 admits that I got as my choice because this is the right fit for me. If you are able to create such a persona, believe me, you can actually get through the visa interview like a jiffy. Now, this is the place where I want to also highlight an important change that has been brought in. Okay. I will be moving into the next slide. I'll coming back to the WorkX part shortly. Just give me a second. This is the place I just want to highlight the visa rule that has been changed in the last few months, especially in the case of the United States. In the US earlier, you can apply for a student visa only 4 months before your start of program, as mentioned in your I-20. That's a document that is given by your university. However, that rule has changed. Now you can apply 12 months before. What does that mean? Theoretically, today, if you are having an admission from the university and you are having an I-20 from the same university, you can apply for the visa. You can go to the visa interview. You can complete it and get your visa today itself. You don't need to wait till June or July just because your program is starting in, let us say, September. You don't need to do that. So that means applying to the universities earlier will help you not just in the admission, not just in the scholarships, but also in your visa. Do also note one more trend that we have observed the last season. In fall 24, in like June, July 24, when students were going for their visa in May, June, etc., the visas were very easily being given. But when we went later into the season, 5 days, 10 days, 15 days before the start of the programs, the visa rejection rates rocketed up. So ensure that you are early in the visa applications part also. So what is the lesson that I'm trying to drive home right from beginning of this session? Be early, be the first, ensure that you are doing all things to get that admission, to get that I-20, and to get that visa. Going forward, let me now focus on the admission process. That's the application. What are the elements that go into the application? Let me very quickly go back and share the screen. I'm assuming that you are now able to view the screen back. Just having a little cold, so bear with me. I'm just trying to share the PPT. Give me a second. Let me go ahead with the application component. Now, what are the elements into the application component that you should be looking at? These are the application components that you should be looking at. My screen is not getting shared. Let me just see why. I'm again sharing it. Yeah, now it is shared. So let me go ahead. I'm still not able to. Give me a second. Let me continue without the slide because now it is more about the application components. The first element in the application component is your application form itself. Now, what have I seen most of the students do? They treat it as if they are applying for a library card somewhere or a telephone connection and are not very careful in the data that they are entering. They also do not ensure that the application is complete. They leave a few blanks. Now, that doesn't mean that they will immediately get a rejection, because the universities in the US, they don't immediately deny you a chance. But what they do is they send you more emails asking the questions, asking you to go back and share the information that you have missed in the first place. Now that will delay the entire process, because they don't review your entire profile until they see that everything that is there in the application is required in the application is completed. What do I do at Conduira? At Conduira, I ensure that we check the application at least twice or three times before we submit it. We ensure that all the elements that are mentioned in the application form are matching with the rest of the data. For example, simple thing, while you are giving your IELTS exam, you might have used a different email address, and the email that you have adding in the application is different, so they were not able to connect the both. What we do, we ensure that you are mentioning it at the time of application itself and not later, so the delay in the review of your application is not there. Similarly, if you are missing out on your projects that you have done, or the extracurriculars that you have done in the part of your application, then I ensure that you fill them. Now, this is the place where I ask you people to look at that application form as it is your document where you are telling them, yes, I am the right person for you, so select me. The next element in that application is your statement of purpose. Do not, in fact, a couple of weeks back, Abdullah has done a webinar on the statement of purpose and the mistakes that you should not do, the things that you should focus. Go ahead and look at the past webinars to go through all those points and ensure that you are looking at the including those things that have been mentioned as the most important as a part of your statement of purpose. One of the most important things I would like to reiterate as a part of the statement of purpose is that don't make a copy from somewhere and just change the name and your name and the university name and put it across. That's not a statement of purpose. Statement of purpose is where you are preparing that document in line with the program, the university that you are going to apply for. So look at the prerequisites that are mentioned for that particular program. If ensure that you are highlighting those prerequisites as a part of your statement of purpose and the way you have done in them. If you have done any projects related to those prerequisites, ensure that you are mentioning them and describing them in the statement of purpose. Ensure that the statement of purpose is not just a word form of your resume. No, that is not. It is a story of, again, a persona that you are creating about yourself, saying that, see, here I am. This is the reason I want to do my master's. This is my goal in life. This is my career goal. And to achieve that goal, till now I have done this. Now these are the steps, and the master's program from your university will help me achieve my goal. Not just that, this is how I'm going to contribute to the program and the university if given a chance of admission. So that is what the story, that's the persona that you should be creating, and that is what you should ensure you are including in your statement of purpose. Similarly, the next component is your letter of recommendation. Now, there are two things which I would like to highlight here. One, don't always think that HODs are the only people that you need to go for the letter of recommendation. Yes, their pedigree will matter and does matter. However, you can and you should choose professors that have taught you subjects that are prerequisites for that program. As I mentioned, the prerequisites, like for example, if you are applying for masters in data science, ensure that you, if you possible, get letter of recommendation from a professor who taught you mathematics and statistics. Maybe you don't need a letter from the HOD whose specialization might be in, let us say, computer networks, which might not be and is not related to data science prerequisites. So ensure that you are doing that homework again and putting in a little of research in terms of what is the program requiring you to have as prerequisites. Is your statement of purpose covering that? Is your letter of recommendation covering that? And ensure that you are strengthening your profile. The other elements that are important as a part of your application are the GRE test and the English test. Now, let me quickly talk about GRE before I move on to the IELTS or the TOEFL exams. As a consequence of the COVID and the years during the COVID time, quite a few universities have made GRE as not required for most of the programs. However, there are a few universities that are rolling it back. That means they are saying now GRE is again required. But at the same time, there are many universities who are continuing the GRE waiver. That means they are saying that GRE is still not required. But these decisions are not being taken at a university level. They are being taken at a program and a department level. For example, MS in data science might not require a GRE score, but MS in computer science might require a GRE score. Recently, ASU did change. Now it is accepting even for MS in computer science without the GRE score. But there are a few conditions that they are putting in, like if your GPA is more than XYZ. So again, before you take a decision whether to take the GRE exam or not take the GRE exam, first look at a broad list of the programs, see whether the GRE is required or not required, whether is there a waiver or not there, and basis that, go ahead and take the exam. But one of the most important components of your entire application and later even for the visa is your English proficiency score. Now, this is where there is a trend which is happening, and I expect that it will only increase, is that the cutoffs are going to be increasing. What does that mean? The focus on English language is going to be high. And do note that if your spoken English score is higher, your chances of, that means in IELTS or in Duolingo or in TOEFL, the speaking score, if it is higher, do note that your chances of chances of visa being approved are higher. Because they want people who are comfortable in English. Similarly, this year, the cutoffs have increased. Like, for example, UMBC has increased slightly the cutoff on IELTS. Do also note that IELTS as an organization, as an exam, allows you to take one section at a time to retake it and improve the score. But that does not mean that the universities will accept it. The universities are not, especially in the US, most of the universities, in fact, are not accepting the IELTS one section retake option. They want the score where you have taken all the sections together at the same time. So know these things before you end up going ahead and applying, maybe also doing all the hard work and then getting to know that the IELTS score that you have submitted is not being accepted by the university. There are a few universities which are still not accepting the home editions of GRE and TOEFL. Like, for example, Arizona State University, ASU, does not accept the home edition. So similarly, there are other universities. So ensure that you know this before you go ahead and apply for them. One more element that you should know, and this is where IELTS focus again comes into picture. The scores again are not the same for all the programs. The university might have a cutoff, let us say 6.5, but the course that you are applying, for example, Northeastern University for MS Data Science has a higher cutoff for the IELTS. Duolingo again is Duolingo English test is the another option for English proficiency. Most of the universities in the US have started accepting, but do note that there are still programs and universities that do not accept. For example, Northeastern University, the department, especially the Cowrie College, is not accepting the Duolingo test, but the College of Engineering accepts the Duolingo test. So these are the things that you should know, you should be researching on, or you should take advice from people like me. Message me in case you have doubts, and ensure that you are applying for the right university, the right program, the and ensure that your application is the strongest application that you can submit. That's what I would like to tell today. That's what I would like to wanted to cover today. And let me know in case you people are able having any doubts, and if you do have, you can always message us in our WhatsApp numbers, and also on our website conduira.com there is a form, talk to us. Please go ahead and fill that, and you can set up an appointment with one of us, and we will be able to look at your profile. We will be able to ensure that we are helping you make the right choice of country, university, and program. Thank you very much. I am Deepthi Abdullah. I'm one of the co-founders at Conduira, and I have been in this field for the last uh, 15 to 20 years. And you can always message me for any information or assistance in the study abroad area. Thank you very much. See you next week in another episode of the weekly insights on study abroad made easy here at Conduira. Thank you very much.